In today's Mommy Minutes, I'll be telling you our pros and cons of private school. So we did public and homeschool and private school. The private school we chose is a faith-based Christian private school, and so that's going to have a little bit of a different list of pros and cons than a secular private school. For us, one of the things that we liked about the private school we chose is that even though we don't have as much freedom to choose curriculum like we did in homeschool, we are choosing a school whose leadership is choosing curriculum that lines up with our faith. It's not just the curriculum though, it's also just the leadership, the mentoring, the purpose of education. It all lines up with our faith. I like that in private school, the kids are in a classroom environment, they're having recess regularly, so they're having that community experience, and they're getting that independence from us. They are going out and experiencing part of the world and practicing and putting into practice the things that we've taught at home, and so they're learning independence, but they're also under the leadership of an organization that shares our beliefs and will reinforce those beliefs in the way that they deal with our kids and with other kids, like on the at recess, in conflict resolution and in the classroom, just all across the board. They're getting reinforcement of what we're teaching at home. One of the benefits of any private school is that if you move out of your neighborhood, but you're still within your city, you can still attend that school. So it's different from a public school that is based on your address, and there's some freedom in that. We chose a private school that does not make families sign a statement of faith saying that they are Christians. So our campus is not a Christian-only campus, and we appreciate that. We like the fact that our kids are exposed to people who don't believe the same way we do, but that they are under leadership that does reinforce our beliefs. The class sizes are smaller typically in a private school, and so the academics sometimes can progress at a faster pace, so that's a pro. I like that there's uniforms because there isn't that constant desire to show off, name brands and what you're wearing, so I like uniforms. A big difference that I was not expecting between public school and private school. In public school, when you're absent, they don't like it because they're not getting that tax money on the day that your child is not in the classroom. But at a private school, they don't really care. They're going to work with the family to make sure that the child catches up. But there isn't that, guilt and shame that you took your kid out of school. They definitely give families the freedom to go on vacations and off seasons, and that was not what I experienced at public school. So now the cons of private school. The most obvious con is going to be the cost. It costs way more than public school, which is free, and it costs more than homeschooling, even though you have to pay for your own curriculum. There's just a lot more cost for a private school. We're back in a classroom environment after experiencing homeschooling, and we're definitely feeling the change from homeschooling where there's no homework, homeschooling where there is a lot more freedom as far as how you spend your time and how quickly you progress through a subject. And so even though private school is essentially the same as public school in that regards, our family is feeling it this time because when we did it schooling the first time, it was all we knew. The school community is somewhat homogenous in compared to a public school education. So that's our series on how to choose a school, the pros and cons of public, the pros and cons of homeschooling, the pros and cons of private school. I think the thing that I've learned most from it is that even with the list of pros and cons, sometimes God's going to take your family in a place and in a direction that doesn't line up with logic. And that's okay. And it's okay to be open to going somewhere that doesn't necessarily make sense on paper, doesn't necessarily make sense to your friends and family, and sometimes doesn't even make sense to you. Another thing that I've definitely learned through the process is that no schooling is perfect, and no schooling is ideal. And there's going to be days, no matter which one you choose, where you're like, oh my word, this is the wrong choice. I can't believe we did this. We need to get out. And it's important to stick through it. And it's important to get the blessings from wherever God has you. And some of those blessings are harder to swallow than others. But even the trials that come through different schooling options can be really beneficial for your child and also for you as a parent. So good luck in choosing a schooling for your family and for your individual kids. If you have any suggestions for what next Mommy Minutes can be, put them in the comments. I'd love to look at them.